Hello and welcome to Raw Sports Takes with Miguel Sanchez. Today is Friday. I'm recording this at Friday night. I usually try to record it in the morning, but I haven't had a chance. Had a busy day. Car broke down. Had to fix that. Needless to say, and my kid had half a day of school. So if anybody out there who has one kid, you got to entertain him, especially if you're the father. Now, if you're a shitty father, you don't give a fuck about your kid, then yeah, it's a different story. You probably don't even see him. Anywho, in today's podcast today, we got quite a bit of things to talk about. Fridays, we know I list my NFL picks. We're gonna do Week 12 NFL picks. Also, my thoughts about last night's incredible game, the Thursday night football game, which it was really good. But first, as always, I like to start off with the San Antonio Spurs. It is incredibly, not, I guess to most people, it's incredible how they started the season. They're currently 8-8. They sit on 12. I know it's not much to talk about, but it's 12 in the West. But if they were in the East, which shows how pathetic the East is, they'll be fifth in the East with the same record of 8-8. They're perfectly at 500. Last year, around this time and point of the year, they were at 3-12. So just to give you a real perspective, they are getting better. The team is getting better. It's looking really good. CP3 yesterday, the last two games have been incredible. They've been without Wemby, Devin Vassell, and Sohan, and they were able to manage and beat LKC. I understand LKC had two injuries there. The big man, the big man Ched's been out for a while, and then the other guy, the backup one that they signed from the New York Knicks, is coming back. He came back, I think, last night. He had a really good game, actually. But at that point, needless to say, Spurs also had all their three players. Their leading scorers, 1, 2, and 3, were all hurt. So players had to step up, which they did. And still OKC was first in the West, and I think they're second right now in the West in the standings. And they did what they did. That was an incredible game. When the Spurs went out there and they beat them. It was a really good game. You expect OKC to make runs. If you know anything about basketball is all about runs. You'll see teams go up on a 7-0 run, 10-0 run, 20 and 10 runs, little runs like that, little spurs. And the good teams are able to withstand those runs and make their own run there. On the Spurs, of course, you expect from OKC they were going to make a run there, and they did in the fourth quarter. The Spurs were leading the whole time to the fourth quarter. What made it incredible was that defense wins championships. That's my big belief, and football and basketball. And when the Spurs needed the most and they needed their big guns to step up, they did, which was Chris Paul with a thumb. He injured his thumb there in the fourth quarter, came out, had a big three-pointer, still got it. And then the big play, I believe after that was the SGA, which he was second in MVP last year. He was going up for a layup, which usually he makes those layups against anybody. But somehow, some way, Stefan Castle stepped up and blocked him on that layup. It was an incredible block. That shows how good and how poised that kid is. That kid, Stefan Castle, if it wasn't because of him, I don't think they win that game. But needless to say, a lot of people step up in that game. Keldon Johnson had an incredible first half. The second half, not too bright, not too great. But that's Keldon Johnson for you. That's Keldon Johnson for you. It comes out in little spurs. Sometimes he gets you a lot of points. When he's hot, he's hot. He had 17 points there in the first half, and then he gets really cold and he hits the freaking side of the rim there in the second half to the point where you're just frustrated. As a Spurs fan watching it because it looks like garbage. But needless to say, his first half was incredible. CP3 stepping it up, really delivering there. Harrison Barnes also a great sign up. He had 25 points, I believe, that game. He had some really good three-pointers there. The last game they played against the Jazz last night. He had 4 out of 5 of the three-point. Just adding two veterans to the team really has calmed down the team and has really created that coaching effect also on the court, which a lot of players on the Spurs have said that about CP3 and Harrison Barnes, that they really, they're coaches there on the court pretty much. So they know what to do. They know how to win. Let's put it that way. Harrison Barnes has been in the league for a while. CP3, of course, 39 years old. Has been a long time in the league. They know how to win. Unfortunately, for one of them has won a championship in Barnes. CP3 is another. That's another story. But I don't know. Maybe he breaks the curse sometime this year. Maybe next year. I don't think they go to the. I don't think he get even close to sniffing the championship, the NBA championship. But you never know. But it was good. It's good to watch. It's actually fun to watch good teams again. Watch the Spurs playing well, because last year this game would have been a blowout. Both games actually. The OKC game would have been a blowout, and this Jazz game they were getting blown out by 20 points. So it came down to the fourth quarter, and they had 41 points in the fourth quarter. So without their three leading scorers, which is incredible. Charles Bassey last night was a great story. 6 blocks. The kids from Nigeria, of course, if you watch the game, he was selling chicken and playing soccer in Nigeria to the age of 10 and 12, I believe, when he got discovered by a scout there, and he started playing basketball. Actually came here to San Antonio, play here in St. Anthony, which is a Catholic school here, private school, all the way to his sophomore year. And then he was ineligible, and I guess I haven't looked deep into that, but I'm pretty positive it's probably grades. And then he ended up transferring to Kentucky and finished his high school over there, and play college ball over there in Western Kentucky. But it's a good story. It's good to see him come back to San Antonio in a way. In a way, he's kind of like from San Antonio. He really played. I think he's a better backup center than Collins. Nothing against Collins, but sometimes he's just playing garbage, especially when it comes to the defensive side. He looks like he gets lost. I admire his effort, though. He really tries out there, and he really tries to play ball. But I think Charles Bassey should be the backup center from now on for the Spurs. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch these games again. It's fun to see the Spurs winning again. It's the energy. If you ever gone to, as you guys know, I'm a season ticket holder. Half season, by the way, not the whole season. So you think I got any kind of money like that? Daddy don't got that kind of money. But the energy is way better than it was last year. Last year I went to the Spurs game too. It was the first time I got season tickets, and last year there was kind of in all honesty, I gotta admit I probably got drunk or at least tipsy by the halftime, like to be able to watch those games, because they were pretty terrible. A lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes, a lot of frustrating calls, a lot of can you please get the damn ball to Wemby? Like, how hard is it to do an inbound play? How hard is it to do a play in the post when he was posting people up? Or how hard is it to find a 7-foot giant alien running down the court and not see him? Like, there was many times where a lot of players were missing. Shohan was in Basel. Like if there was really jealousy issues there, like, I don't get it. It was weird. It was weird to watch. It was super frustrating to watch, actually. Made me curse a few times, maybe even. It's just one of those. But it's now it's fun. It's fun again. It's great to have fun again. It's fun again, especially San Antonio just unveiled their Project Marble downtown, which is nothing to do with fucking Spider-Man or the Hulk. It's actual football. I guess it's a sports arena in general. They're gonna build a sports arena in general downtown. With redoing the Alamo Dome, which the Alamo Dome was built back in the 90s, early 90s, and it's where the UTSA Roadrunners play. And sometimes we get some college balls and some other crap that goes there. It's really outdated, really bad. But supposedly this is a $4 billion, in the beast. Yeah, more expensive than the Cowboy Stadium. And I think more expensive than actually SoFi, the stadium in Los Angeles. It's supposed to be this badass renovation, and I hope it comes through. My biggest issue with San Antonio is the airport. It's too small. I wish they would build a bigger airport. Just scrap the airport they have now and build a bigger airport, and actually at some point. But it's a good start. If it's able to pass through and be able to build that, that's gonna be incredible, because you got Wembanyama, which they say it should be finished. The stadium should be finished by 2030, I believe they said. What's the time schedule there? So if that's true and it gets built by 2030, by then Wembanyama should have won 2 championships, maybe 3 MVPs, for sure 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and maybe they get a football team here. That'd be incredible to actually they got a football team. I'll definitely get season tickets to that. But needless to say, love the Spurs, love the energy. If you actually watch the bench when they get like a dunk there, or they get like or a good play in the bench energy, everybody's hype, everybody's cheering on everybody. One person that stands out, of course, is Blake Wesley. Blake Wesley stands out big time. He's there jumping and making freaking hand fists. I don't know what the hell he's doing, dancing at some point. It's good to watch him do that. But needless, like I say again, It's good. It's good to watch basketball. I predicted the Spurs at the beginning of the season. If you heard my earlier podcast, I feel like they could finish fourth or fifth in the standings in the West. That's their ceiling, even though they're 12 right now. But the schedule's hard. The schedule's not easy per se. They got the next three games. Is going to be it's going to tell you a lot from the next three games, especially if Devin Vassell and LAMAR are able to play. They're playing the Warriors on Saturday, then the Lakers and the Suns. Those are three really good teams. Not the Lakers, really. I don't give two shits about the Lakers. They did get a lot of calls on Friday against the Spurs, which is a bunch of bullshit. That's a whole different story. But the Warriors are a really good team, a surprising team actually. They're number one in the West, and the Suns are number, I believe, 3 in the West. So if they go 2-1 there, or even 3-0, that's going to tell you a lot of what the Spurs are going to be able to do this season. Finish fourth or fifth, and I think their floor will be a play-in team. I think they finish 10 between 10. That'd be if they bottom. Like they're not doing great. That would the spot that I could see them as their floor would be like the 10th or 12th. Like the 10th spot. Their 10-11 spot there in a playing game. Maybe they win a playing game here. Maybe they win both and they get in the playoffs. I hope so. I really do. I mean, every single game that I've been to, it feels like a playoff atmosphere. I mean, people are cheering. People are getting wild. People are yelling. It is great to watch. It's great to see. And it's good to see, hear, especially the city of San Antonio. A lot of people don't know small-time markets. They thrive on that. And it's good to see them that for everything, economically, just escaping from reality and just having a good time. It's always good. But those are my quick thoughts on the San Antonio Spurs. Great job they're doing, 8-8. A lot of cheering. I think they're one player away, maybe a high draft pick, maybe even trading for a player. I mean, my dream will be Giannis, but in honesty, they need a shooting forward. They need a stretch four. Lower marketing, but of course he can't be traded anymore from the Jazz. Something like that. Somebody that can actually open it up and shoot the threes very well, like a younger Harrison Barnes. I guess that's what I'm saying. I like Harrison Barnes. If he keeps it up like this, you don't need another player. But if you can get it, if Harrison Barnes was younger, like by 5 years, this team will be knocking on the door. Not only playoffs, but they'll be a contender, a black horse per se of getting to the championship. Those are it. My thoughts on the Spurs. Next up, Thursday Night Football. Thursday Night Football. You know how much I hate Thursday Night Football. I really dislike it. But this year they're doing a pretty good job of it, especially because they're putting division rivals against each other. So it's not a blowouts like it was last year. Last year there was a lot of blowouts, a lot of injuries. This year seems to be, I don't know if it's because the third or fourth year into Thursday Night Football, maybe teams are preparing better as far as injury concerns, as resting, everything on that kind of sense. Or the rivalry games seem to be a lot more entertaining. I mean, last night had it all. Had a backup quarterback that used to be number 1 overall pick, Jameis Winston, with the, we said ride the horse. We're going to ride the horse of war in the pregame. And that kind of, he does hype you up before a game, though. I seen his speeches before a game. He hypes you up. You had him, and you had the snow. It was a good game. I watched it from beginning to end. That's how good the game was, even though I stayed up late watching it. I was super tired. But it was good in a sense that it's just good football. It's good to watch a good product. It's good to watch somebody get hit. It's good to watch good throws, good catches. It just what makes the NFL so much fun, especially in the snow. I'm always a big believer in you should play in the elements. There's nothing like playing in the elements. The rain, the snow, the wind. It just makes it makes the game totally different from like a game like basketball where you're playing indoors the whole time. Just ask LeBron James how he felt when the AC went out in San Antonio. Apparently that boy could not have been playing in the elements. But it was good. It was fun. It was fun to see people shove the snow. In the game itself, though, I personally picked the Steelers just because I think the Browns are just a dumpster fire of a franchise. But somehow Jameis Winston, vintage Jameis Winston, I want to say. Because Jameis Winston is usually one of those players that just can go and just tear it up completely. If you start for the season, I believe his last season with the Bucks, he had like 30 touchdowns. But then which is good. But then you have the bad part of Jameis Winston, and the other side is that he'll throw 30 interceptions also and make bonehead moves. And that was one of the weird games with the Browns. I mean, the Browns were leading the whole time, 18-6, with 12 minutes left. Winston looked like he was going to be the hero, which ultimately he was. But then the ball it got coughed up there on that fumble where that guy was the receiver. I forgot his name. He was spinning and then he fumbled, and that got turned into a touchdown. And then the interception, which he threw a bad interception there, Jameis Winston, and then that's when the Steelers took the lead, and it was 19-18. And it looked like that was it. It looked like now that was going to be it. That the Steelers were going to somehow, some way, figure a way to win the game. And good teams do that. Good teams figure a way to win the game. But nope, not Jameis Winston. On this one, he actually went for it on fourth down. And then I think they went for it twice on fourth down on that final drive. And then they went for the go-ahead score there with Chubb, and that was it. That's what the game wrote. It was a good game, especially, like I said, with the conditions. There was a lot of drops in the game, but it has to be. I mean, it's snowing like crazy. The Steelers, on the other hand, I don't like this two-quarterback system they got. Either stick with one quarterback or because to me, I'm a big believer if you got two quarterbacks starting or you're not sure about which quarterback's which that's what ended up happening. I get it. Justin Fields has some package that he comes in to run, but if you're playing that kind of style of football with two quarterbacks, then you don't have a quarterback. And maybe that's it. Maybe the Steelers realize that they do not have a good quarterback when they bring in Justin Fields instead of keeping Russell out there. Maybe they don't, because now teams pretty much, unless they're playing coy, and what I mean by that is that maybe they're just putting Justin Fields in there to run every single time, and then maybe when the playoffs come, they have some plays with Justin Fields throwing the ball. But as of right now, no. Right now, what is going on is that when, at least from watching the football game, is, hey, if Justin Fields is in the game, they're going to run the ball. And that's what happened in they had a fourth down, I believe, and they went for it, and he got tackled right away. Like Justin Fields got tackled before he can make the first down. Myles Garrett played his ass off. I mean, we're talking he's played his ass off there in that game. Yeah, even though we know he's injured in the season, he still played, which is they did really well. And that was it, man. I mean, the game was great. It was just good to see. I hope people stayed up and watched it. If you didn't, you missed a hell of a game, and it's a hell of a start of a week for football. It's for the NFL, especially because this week there are just some bad matchups. It's nothing compared to last week. Last week there were some incredible games. This week it seems like the games are just not there. And I'm looking at the schedule right now as we speak, and I'm looking at the games. And reality, I mean, we got Chiefs versus Panthers. That's how are the Chiefs going to look after they started off, after they have their first loss? Are they going to pretty much just go with the emotions in this game? I mean, it is the Panthers. The Panthers are 3-7. They're pretty pathetic. I think the Panthers are going to be feisty in this game. They're going to come out and they're going to try to play, but eventually the Kansas City Chiefs are going to wake up and win the game. I just don't see Bryce Young doing anything against that defense. That defense is good. Next early game is going to be Vikings versus Bears. I want to pick the Bears because it's the Bears, and they look a lot better on offense with Caleb Williams really just, throwing the ball out and early. But I'm afraid he won't, especially going against that defense. That defense is a championship level defense with the Vikings. And I just don't see the defensive coordinator and Brian Forrest just taking it easy on Caleb. I think he's going to come out with a bunch of different coverages. Totally discombobulate Caleb Williams, and I think Caleb Williams might do well, but not good enough to beat the Vikings. I think it's a low-scoring game, and Vikings should win this game. I mean, I just don't see it, especially after the terrible loss that they had against the Packers. Not cheated, but Packers. The Bears got cheated on the last week. The Packers should have never won that game. That should have been a penalty, lining up over the center like that. But who cares, right? So I'll pick the Vikings on that one. Tennessee Titans at Houston Texans. That's the next game. Texans are favored. Oh, by the way, actually I forgot. Chiefs are favored by 11 points, by the way, against the Panthers, and Minnesota Vikings are favored by 3.5. The next one's Tennessee Titans at Houston Texans. Houston is favored by over a touchdown, by 8. It looks like Nico Collins is really looking better now. When I was watching the Monday night game against the Cowboys, he looked a lot better. C.J. Stroud looked a lot better. Joe Mixon looked a lot better. But then again, I think anybody can look good against the Cowboys today. They look pretty pathetic. I think Daniel Jones, who just got cut for the Giants, will look better against the Cowboys than any other team. Houston should win this one pretty easily. We're talking about a Tennessee team that's the worst right now. They're 2-8. They can't seem to get it together. Their defense plays very well, but their cornerback actually just went out and they put him on IR. Their best corners. So Houston should have a feast, and Texans should win easily by triple digits. Look at me, double digits. They should easily win by 2 touchdowns this game. I don't see anything on that one. Next one up, Detroit Lions, Indianapolis Colts. Only intriguing part about this is maybe Anthony Richardson plays 2 games in a row pretty well, but I don't see that. I don't think Anthony Richardson plays 2 games. The biggest thing with him is he's raw. He's a very raw prospect. And here at Raw Sports, we like raw. But I don't think he gets it together in 2 games straight. Lions are favored by 7.5 points. I think the Lions put up another good 30-something points in this game. It's an easy win for them. There's nothing much to talk about in this. The only thing you're hoping for the Lions is just nobody gets injured. Next game is New England and Miami Dolphins. New England Dolphins are favored by 7.5 points. I know I've been saying it for a while now. They just look different with Tua. Tua just makes that team go. Dolphins. New England will be feisty in the first quarter, but I think in the second quarter and the beginning of the third quarter, the second half, the Dolphins just tear it up and they just destroyed the Patriots there. They look like a totally different team with Tua. I think they have a really good chance of winning out. Honestly, I think they're able to sneak into the playoffs. I picked them to win the division. That was before Tua got hurt, of course. But they just look different now. Coach looks different too. Coach doesn't look so stressed out, and he looks sober. I think the Dolphins win that one pretty easily. There's, like I said, there's not many games. Not too much to get excited about any of this week coming up. Next week game is Tampa Bay Buccaneers and New York Giants. Buccaneers are favored by 6 points. I think so far in all these games, nobody has been favored by less than 3 points. Nobody has been favored by less than 3 points. That lets you just believe this is going to be pretty a slaughterhouse and by every single team this favor. Which it is another slaughterhouse here. I mean, Buccaneers should beat the living shit out of the Giants. Unless my boy Tommy DeVito comes out. Hey! Tommy Cutlets comes out in there and just starts tearing it up. I really hope they do a lot of stories about him. You know what? I hope they show his agent, Tommy DeVito's agent, that looks like a total mobster. It's going to be good to watch. Maybe Tommy DeVito comes out of nowhere, starts playing better, because, nobody has really that much film on him, and he tears it up and beats the Buccaneers. That'll be fun to watch. I mean, I'll be cheering for Tommy DeVito just for the storyline is great. I mean, that's my boy, Tommy DeVito, because he's related to Danny DeVito. No, he's not. He's not related to Danny DeVito. I wish. That'll be freaking fun. I hope Danny DeVito's at the game. Actually, that'll be funny. And then the speculation would be that they're related. But this should be an easy game. I mean, Buccaneers are getting Mike Evans back, which that's their best wide receiver. And that's and I gotta admit, Baker Mayfield's been playing out of his mind with no-name receivers, so he should be able to come back. By the way, I'm not a big believer of Baker Mayfield in no sense in that, but it must feel good for him that the Cleveland Browns are a complete dumpster fire ever since he left. He took him to the playoffs when he was there. They decided not to re-sign him. They actually, I think, cut him. Let him go because of they signed that sexual predator. What's his name? Deshaun Watson. Yeah, to me, he's a sexual predator. Pretty simple. There's 12 accounts or more, like 10 more people accusing you of sexual assault. There has to be some truth to it there. And he's played terrible lately. So good job for Baker Mayfield. Next up is another dumpster fire. Dallas Cowboys versus Washington Commanders. Commanders are favored by 10.5 points, by the way. That's a shitload of points. I mean, I can make a case for the Cowboys as a Cowboys fan. And the case I can make for them is that maybe they start They don't start Cooper Rush. It's a divisional game. No, usually the rivalry divisional games are really a lot closer than most people think. Uh, Jay and Daniels, we know he's kind of hurt. He got his ribs, so hasn't been running as much as he usually would like to do. So maybe the Cowboys are able to concentrate more on stopping the run and just letting him pass. But they're just looking bad. The Cowboys. That defense is limping unless Michael Parsons goes into like Super Saiyan mode and just starts sacking people left and right. Maybe they have a chance in that sense. The defense plays better. I think it's a closer game than actually 10.5 points. I think maybe the Cowboys decide to start Trey Lance, which they have no intention of doing that. But the storyline that I wish the Cowboys would do is start Trey Lance. I really actually hope they would just start Trey Lance, have him run the ball a few times just to open up the running game a little bit more with him, make him a double threat, and just to see what you got in Trey Lance. See if you actually was worth trading for him. Because the talent has to be there. There's a reason that the San Francisco 49ers drafted him 3rd overall and traded all those draft picks to get to 3rd overall to trade for Trey Lance back in I think it was 3-4 years ago. But it's you wish you could see that, but at the same time, I know Mike McCarthy's trying to coach and is trying to keep his job, which we know is not true. He's a walking dead man. But I don't see the Commanders not losing focus and not beating this team. I think the game is going to be closer than 10.5 points, or it might look closer than 10.5 points by the end of the game, but I think in the fourth quarter, it'll be something like 31-17. Cowboys score a late touchdown there and make it 24-31, so it looks closer than that in that sense, but in reality, the game was never in reach of the Cowboys. But if you're a Cowboys fan, you're hoping to see Trey Lance, maybe you're hoping to see Michael Parsons play a lot better. Beat the Commanders, and it's kind of hard for me to say Commanders the whole time. I wish they did just kept the Washington football team. That sounded better, comes off the tongue a little bit better, and it sounds a lot better. Commanders, I want to keep saying commies, and I want to envision the Russian, the Russian, but flag there. But I don't know. We'll see. It's depressing. It really is. It's really depressing being a Cowboys fan. I'm 37 years old now, and only seen them win when I was very young, and they've been playing shit like lately. So it's depressing. But let's move on. Let's get away from that depressing bullshit. Denver Broncos and Vegas Raiders. At the Raiders are tied for the worst team at 2-8. They got no quarterback. They got a walking dead man at head coach. They should never kept them. Even though I like Antonio Pierce, they shouldn't have kept him. And the reason I say that is because most people are like, well, the players really like him. I'm like, when have the players ever been right about a damn coach or about picking anything? Do never let the freaking players pick anything. The Raiders are just a dumpster fire. That's another franchise that's a dumpster fire. It's the Cleveland Browns and the Dallas Cowboys. Denver Broncos should win this one pretty easily. They're favored by 6 points. We could keep seeing if Jaden Daniels has a bad game against the Cowboys, and then you see over here Bo Nix just start tearing it up, and I feel like he will tear it up. It's going to get closer and closer to that race for the offensive rookie of the year between Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. And it's a really good possibility that the Broncos could actually, end up winning quite a bit here, because the last 3 games they have been against straight out powerhouses. I mean, they had the Chargers, they had the Ravens, and they had the Chiefs. They should have beat the Chiefs. They almost beat the Ravens. Oh, did they beat the Ravens? Oh, they beat the Jets in that game. So we'll see what happens. I'm really intrigued. And again, mad props to Sean Payne. Sean Payne decided to target Bo Nix as his quarterback. At the beginning of the season, he said that's the quarterback he liked the most out of all the 6 that got picked in the first round. At the same time, I thought he was just saying for his face and just didn't believe bullshit he was saying, because I would have said the same thing if Bo Nix fell to me. If none of the other quarterbacks got that close and I ended up drafting Bo Nix, like, I would say the same thing, because what are you going to say? No, I wanted to draft Jaden Daniels or Drake May. Or I wish Caleb Williams would have fell to me. I think they're better. No, of course not. You're not going to say that. Not publicly, at least. But Maybe not. Maybe he was right. Maybe he was right. Maybe if he had a choice between all six quarterbacks, he would have still chose Bo Nix. I don't believe it. I think he's full of shit. But he's proven everybody pretty much wrong, and he's proven that he's right. Right now, the Broncos are 6-5, soon to be 7-5, and they're looking like they're going to be the playoff team. And with Sean Payne, he's a proven winner. He might actually do something in the playoffs. I'll pick the Broncos on that one. That one should be a pretty easy one. The next one up, which was supposed to be one of the games of the week, San Francisco 49ers at Green Bay Packers. We just got news this today, that Brock Purdy is not going to be playing in this game. He's not going to start, and it's going to be actually Brandon Allen, the backup quarterback of the 49ers. So it's going to be a slaughter by the Green Bay Packers. I think the Green Bay Packers end up slaughtering them. I think they end up running the ball all over them and really tiring them out. And this is more like a revenge game for the 49ers. I mean, for the Packers, since they lost to the 49ers the last game. And they put up some really good points. And they keep San Francisco at bay. I've been watching Christian McCaffrey the last two games that he's come back, and I don't know if it's because he's been missing so much time, but he doesn't look right. He just does not look right. I don't know if, like I said, if it's just a rusty, he's trying to kick off the wheels there and he's trying to get better, or maybe this is it. Maybe this is when the running backs hit that certain timeline and they just fall from grace, which it's kind of crazy to think about, but this might be the norm. This might be the new Christian McCaffrey. This is what you will see. I hope not, because he's an incredible player, dynamic player to watch. Run the ball, catch the ball, block. Everything. He's a complete running back. But at the same time, he did have some injury issues before, and he came back strong. We'll see what happens. I don't think San Francisco has a chance in this game. I actually think the Packers should blow them out and put the conversation back as Green Bay Packers as a contender for the NFC. Depends on how good they look in this game. If they look like freaking Bears and they steal another game, then I don't think the Green Bay Packers are going to do that much damage. Now, San Francisco, they lose this game, I think they're pretty much out. I thought that since last week, since they lost against Seattle. I think they lose again. They lose again this game. They're not going to be a playoff contenders, and there's going to be a lot of questions to be asked. Brock Purdy's going to want to get paid. We'll see what happens. And now, since I had the subject of the San Francisco 49ers, as you know, the last podcast I was saying that your boy, Nick Bosa of the 49ers, seems to like sacking black quarterbacks more than white quarterbacks, which is, so I decided to dive into some stats and actually looking into it. And I saw, and of course, this is only from last year, and I broke it down from last year. Last year's stats in 2023, when facing white quarterbacks, he had about 0.6 sacks per game. When facing black quarterbacks, he had 1.25 sacks per game. So he sacks black quarterbacks at a higher rate, almost by half a sack almost. You could take that as however you want to do it. If he's racist, maybe he's not racist. Maybe he's just prejudiced, and he feels like he's more superior. But take it how you want to take that one. I mean, those are the data doesn't lie. Let's put it that way. Those numbers are not lying. The eyes don't lie. When you're watching him play, he seems to play more ferocious. Well, maybe ferocious is not the right word. More energy, I guess. But I'm saying he is prejudiced against black quarterbacks. You make your own opinion on that. That's just my take on it. Some people might say it's a hot take. Some people might actually think that is true because they watch the games too. We'll see what happens with this game. I don't know if he's playing. I think he is, or is up in the air. So it'll be interesting because he's playing against Jordan Love. Okay, if he plays this game, he has 2 sacks against Jordan Love with an injury, then this puts more fire into that prejudice thing. But this will be interesting. I still take the Packers in that game anyways. Jordan Love is having a terrible season compared to last year, but it still should be enough to beat this 49ers team. Next game is Arizona Cardinals and Seattle Seahawks. These two teams are very alike to me. In a sense that Geno Smith and Kyle Murray are almost identical. Like when they really turn it up, both of them, they really play very well. But when they play really shitty, the team plays really crappy. So it's kind of like, depends on them. I don't know what to believe on this one. I really want to pick the Cardinals and believe in them, and they go to 7-4. But it's at Seattle. Seattle is favored by 1 point in this by 1 point. And everybody seems to be pretty much in line thinking Arizona is going to win, except for the bettors, of course. But looking at the experts, as they say here, they're all picking the Cardinals. I'll pick Seattle on this one just because it's at Seattle. It depends on the weather, too. And it seems like they're doing a very good job. And the Seattle defense is getting healthier as the season's going along. So Mike McDonald, who is a hell of a head coach and a hell of a defensive coordinator, should be able to put up some pressure here on Kyle Murray, and I think they win that game. I really do think they win that game. He's going to create a good scheme. They're able to contain Kyle Murray. Kyle Murray is right now is averaging 8.1 yards per carry. That's really the recipe for success there for the Cardinals, is that he is a threat with his legs. If he gets going in the running game, the Cardinals could easily win this game, but I think Seattle just plays a very good defense. And with a 12-man at home, and depending also on the weather. I mean, we're playing in Seattle at 4:25. For all we know, 3:25 Central Time. For all we know, it starts raining. It might get nasty. It might get dirty. And Seattle wins this one. I think Seattle wins this game. That's what I'm taking. Next game is Philadelphia Eagles and Los Angeles Rams. Eagles are favored by 2.5 points. I'm going to take the Rams with the upset. It's the Sunday night game. It's going to be the game of the week. That should be... Put this, it's the game of the night, of the day, the game of the weekend. The next game up, it's also going to be the game of Monday night game is going to also be a really great game. Those two games, the last two games of Week 12 are going to be the best games they're going to be. You got the Rams, you got the Eagles. You got the Eagles who've been playing very well lately. They've been showing up. But you got Puka, you got Kupp, and you got your boy Matthew Stafford could still sling the ball on the other side. I don't know what's to expect out of this one. I think if Saquon Barkley is able to be contained by the LA Rams, which the Rams have been playing great defense, which that's actually the surprise of this team is actually the defense. I did not expect the defense to be playing this well with the retirement of Arnold, what's his name? Darnold. Damn, I cannot think of his name. I see his face, but I can't think of his name. It'll come to me. But with his retirement, of course, he's a Hall of Famer and everything. I just don't see. I didn't expect the defense to play this well. He's been playing very well. The defense has been playing first the rookie, and they're really getting pressures. And if they're able to contain Saquon Barkley, I think they're could easily win the game if it gets into a shootout. If it gets into a shootout there, and if it gets in a shootout, I'll take the Rams offense any day, just for the simple reason of it's just Stafford. Stafford can still sling the ball. I'm sorry, Stafford can still sling the ball. And I just don't believe in Hurts. I don't think Hurts can do that great. I mean, it's just. I don't know. Something's wrong with Hurts. I don't know if he lost his confidence. I don't know if his offensive coordinator there, because they seem to be running the ball a lot more with him. But it seems like every single time A.J. Brown goes out, he's just different. That offense completely switches, especially in the passing game. It's not the same. Of course, it looks like A.J. Brown's going to play. So we'll see what happens there. Aaron Donald. There we go. Aaron Donald. That's what I was thinking. He is a great player there for the Rams. It's a good game. I'll take the Rams. I know a lot of people don't like that. They look great sometimes. And then all of a sudden they lose against a really crappy team. But I'll take the Rams. I'll take the Rams any day. Next game up, it's another really good one. This is, like I said, the last two games, Eagles versus Rams, and Ravens versus Chargers is a hell of a game. Ravens are favored. I'm going to take the underdog again. I'm going to take the other LA team again. I'm going to take the Chargers. I just think there's something there with Justin Herbert and Harbaugh as the head coach. There's just it's Harbaugh style football. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to have Justin Herbert throw the ball when it's necessary. We're talking about a kid in Justin Herbert last year who threw about 41 passing attempts a game, which is a shitload of attempts. Now it's dropped to 31, I believe. He's at 31 or 29, so he's a lot less passing attempts. He's been passing the ball a lot less, and it's only necessary when you need it. You really thought, a lot of people thought that the loss of Allen, a wide receiver, and Mike Williams, that was going to be because they were the two top wide receivers there for the Rams. The Rams were going to be pretty not that good on offense, but Justin Herbert has been able to do it. Harbaugh is a proven winner. He knows how to play, how to coach there. I think the Ravens are still... This is going to be one of those games where you think... By the way, this is Jim Harbaugh versus John Harbaugh, if you don't know that. These are two brothers coaching against each other, which is kind of crazy to think about. If you were curious if they played each other before, yes, they have. They played each other twice before. One in the regular season, when Jim Harbaugh used to coach the 49ers. John Harbaugh has always coached with the Ravens. Has always been the head coach there. He was the special teams coordinator there with the Eagles when he got the head coach for the Ravens, I believe. They played each other twice. From what I remember, they lost, and John Harbaugh has beaten Jim Harbaugh twice. Once in the regular season, once in the Super Bowl. When it was Raven versus 49ers. That was the infamous blackout game where the game went completely dark. The lights went out. And this will be the third time. Third time's the charm, I think. Jim Harbaugh is able to beat his brother. I think he has the better team. I think he has the better defense. Nobody's really talking about how good that defense is. At least from what I'm hearing from all the media, the big media and everybody, nobody's talking about it. But that Chargers defense is ranked number 1 right now, allowing only 14.5 points per game. If you thought that the Steelers defense was pretty stingy, it's going to be stingy against Lamar Jackson again. If they're going to probably do the same blueprint, the blueprint has been shown how to stop Lamar Jackson when the Steelers beat him, is don't blitz, keep him in the pocket, and let him throw the ball and stop the run. Or in reality, let the Ravens stop the run, because the Ravens decided not to rush Derrick Henry 13 times. Do I think that happens again? I don't think so. I think they're trying to impose their will a little bit more and run the ball a little bit more. But we are talking about a very super stingy defense again. I think the Chargers are able to hold them below 20-something points. And I just don't think the wide receivers are at that caliber. Well, because you could always say, well, the Chargers gave up a crap load of points against the Bengals last week, and they let the Bengals come back. But you got to remember, the Bengals had Higgins, who's top 25 wide receiver in the NFL, and they had Jamar Chase, which is top 2 for sure, him, Justin Jefferson. So they had two top 25 players, and then you have the best quarterback as far as passing this year in Joe Burrow. That's not the same as Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry if you're a Lamar Jackson believer, but Lamar Jackson is Dak Prescott, and that's not a diss. It's not, and that's not me defending Dak Prescott. That's a diss to actually Lamar Jackson. I said it last podcast. They're the same quarterback. They almost have the same identical record in the playoffs. The only reason the Ravens get a little bit more praise is because they run a little bit better and coach a little bit better. So it looks like Lamar Jackson is better, but he's not. He is not any better than Dak Prescott. This is a big game. It's under the lights. I think Lamar Jackson folds again, throws an interception or two against his defense. Chargers take it. Plain and simple. And then Justin Herbert jumps in the MVP conversation. It's going to be between Justin Herbert and Josh Allen as the MVPs. I think right now this is the game that makes Lamar Jackson look weak and puts him down in third in the MVP voting. Plain and simple. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, Lamar Jackson ain't any better than Dak Prescott. And that's it. I'm going to wrap it up with that. Take it as you want to take my picks here. Last week I went 11-3. And this I'm 88-44 overall with a 0.67% accurate rate of guessing games. We'll see what happens this week. I'm hoping to eventually hit up. Well, it's not going to be this week, actually, because I picked the Steelers yesterday to win. So I was going to say, I hope I go undefeated one of these weeks, but apparently not. It's not going to happen. We'll talk a little bit more again on Tuesday after all the games are over. That's how we go. If you don't listen to me next week, I hope you guys have great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the weather over here down in San Antonio. It's finally getting cold. Wherever you at, stay warm, hug your family, kiss your family, spend some time with your family, and have a good weekend.